A black woman boards a private jet, but the flight attendant's shocking actions leave everyone stunned. Little did they know, she wasn't just a passenger. She owned the entire plane. What happened next left the flight crew speechless, and it's a lesson no one will forget. If you're intrigued, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss a story like this. She stepped onto the sleek, luxurious private jet with quiet confidence. Her outfit? A simple pair of jeans, a plain white shirt, and sneakers. No flashy designer logos, no jewelry that screamed wealth. Just an everyday look that could belong to anyone. Despite her immense fortune, this black billionaire preferred to keep a low profile, valuing simplicity and humility over extravagant displays of wealth. But as she walked in, the flight attendant barely hid their disdain. With a sharp glance and a condescending tone, they made it clear they didn't believe she belonged there. The attendant's posture radiated arrogance, their eyes scanning her from head to toe, as if trying to confirm their assumption. She's in the wrong place. Little did they know, their judgment was about to backfire in a way they could never have imagined. As the woman settled into her seat, the flight attendant approached her with a cold, questioning gaze. "Excuse me, ma'am, you can't sit there," they said, their tone sharp and dismissive. The billionaire calmly replied, "I believe I can." But the attendant wasn't convinced. Instead of verifying her presence with professionalism, the attendant rolled their eyes and crossed their arms. "Are you sure you're on the right plane?" they asked, their voice dripping with sarcasm. Passengers and crew began to exchange glances, sensing something wasn't right. The woman remained composed, politely replying, "I'm exactly where I need to be." But the attendant wasn't satisfied. They leaned closer, their voice rising, and snapped, "Look, you're not supposed to be here. If you don't leave, I'll have to escort you off myself." Tension filled the cabin as the woman refused to budge, maintaining her calm demeanor. Frustrated, the flight attendant suddenly lost control and slapped her arm in a hasty attempt to make her move. Gasps echoed through the cabin. The other staff froze, their eyes wide with disbelief. Passengers whispered in shock, unable to believe what they had just witnessed. The flight attendant, breathing heavily, stood there as if daring her to fight back. But instead of reacting with anger, the woman did something no one expected. She stood up, straightened her shirt, and prepared to reveal the truth that would leave the entire cabin in stunned silence. Without a hint of anger, the woman stood up slowly, her presence commanding the room. She looked directly at the flight attendant, her eyes steady and calm. "I think it's time you knew who I am," she said, her voice quiet but full of authority. The attendant blinked, clearly unsure of what to expect. With a deep breath, the woman continued, "This plane, the one you so rudely questioned me on, it's mine." A moment of silence passed. The air felt thick with tension as the flight attendant's face went pale. The arrogant attitude vanished, replaced by shock and disbelief. What?" the attendant stammered, taking a step back as their confidence crumbled. A few passengers gasped. Others looked around, exchanging stunned glances, trying to process the revelation. A few staff members, who had been silent until now, exchanged awkward looks, their discomfort palpable. The flight attendant stood frozen, eyes wide, their hands trembling slightly as the reality of the situation set in. I'm so sorry," they muttered, their voice now shaky with regret. But the damage had been done. Their pride had been shattered in an instant. Meanwhile, the woman didn't flinch. She simply nodded, as if this was just another reminder that appearances can be deceiving. The silence in the cabin was deafening, and no one seemed to know how to react. The once judgmental flight attendant was left standing there, utterly embarrassed as the entire situation shifted in the blink of an eye. As the flight attendant stood there, visibly shaken, the woman calmly picked up her phone. Without raising her voice, she dialed the airline's corporate office. The crew exchanged uneasy glances as they realized what was happening. The call didn't last long. After a brief conversation, the flight attendant was quietly escorted off the plane. Their job effectively terminated on the spot. They were replaced by another staff member who offered an apologetic glance at the woman, though nothing could undo the damage already done. The passengers remained silent, unsure of how to react. But the woman didn't let the awkward tension linger. She stood before the cabin, her voice calm but firm as she addressed everyone in the room. "I didn't want this to escalate," she began. "But the way we treat each other should never be based on assumptions. Every person, regardless of how they look or what they have, deserves respect." She paused, allowing her words to sink in. "I don't need flashy clothes or attention to know my worth. And neither should anyone else. We all have a story. Sometimes you don't know the person you're judging until you've walked a mile in their shoes." The cabin fell into a deep, respectful silence. The woman's words were powerful, her composure unshaken, and her message clear. She wasn't seeking revenge. She simply wanted to remind everyone that respect, kindness, and humility are the true measures of success. The flight attendants who had witnessed the incident couldn't help but reflect on their own actions, their faces full of regret. As the woman took her seat, the mood shifted. Passengers began to whisper among themselves, acknowledging the valuable lesson they had just learned. The key lesson here is simple. We must treat everyone with dignity, regardless of their appearance or the assumptions we make. The way this billionaire woman handled the situation shows that true strength lies in humility, and respect should never be based on how someone looks or what they own. We can all learn something from her grace under pressure. So, the next time you're quick to judge someone, remember, everyone has a story, and kindness costs nothing. Treat others the way you'd want to be treated, because you never know who you're really dealing with. If you enjoyed this story and the powerful message it brings, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with others. Let's spread a little more respect and kindness in the world.